Alright, so today I have another Greek story for y'all. Alright, I have the story of Eros and Psyche. So this is, I'm going to put this in with the Valentine's Day category, and I'm going to zoom and do, okay? Because Eros, his Roman name, is Cupid. So this is a story about how the Greek god of romantic love fell in love himself. Okay? So, let's begin. If my camera would focus and not be a bum. Okay. So let's start with Psyche. Psyche had two sisters, and they were pretty. Oh yeah, by the way, in this lesson we're using symbolism because drawing people is hard. Okay? So she had two beautiful sisters, but Psyche was just so out of their league when it came to beauty. She was gorgeous. Gorgeous, so gorgeous in fact, we're going to make her sparkly. So gorgeous in fact that men and people started to come and worship her as being more beautiful than the Greek goddess of beauty, Aphrodite. And that made Aphrodite very angry. By the way, Eros is the son of Aphrodite. So Aphrodite, we're going to draw her symbol as a hand mirror. That has two handles. Did not like the fact that people were worshiping some mortal as being more beautiful than she. So she told her son, Eros, and we'll have this symbol, a heart with wings, to go take one of his arrows and make Psyche fall in love with the most hideous creature in the world. Being good compliant son, Eros said, "Yes, Mama." The only problem was he was so surprised by Psyche's beauty when he came to pierce her with that arrow that he accidentally scratched himself with the arrow and fell head over heels in love with Psyche. So he was so bashful when he fell in love that he decided that he'd introduce her to him at a different time. Now this is all lovely and good, okay? But Psyche, Eros had come to her in the middle of the night. So she had never seen him, didn't even know he was there. She was being admired and had gifts showered upon her, but the people would come and give her the gifts and then they would just leave. And that was a problem because it made her sad. Because she wanted someone to love her, not to just admire her. So her father, the king, decided to go talk to an oracle or a fortune teller to see how they could find a husband for Psyche. Now, the problem is the oracle told them that the only husband fit for Psyche was a terrible monster. Who would gobble her up. And that was to be her fate. Oh, poor Psyche. I dressed her in black and mourning clothes, and wailing and weeping, took her up to the top of a cliff. And there put her, told her to wait until this monstrous husband came to devour her. This was not the fate that she wanted. She even thought about throwing herself off the cliff. But she waited, and Zephyr, the west wind, took pity on her. He had instructions to take her, lift her up, and float her away to a lavish house in the middle of a flower field. So I'm going to draw a lavish Greek house. And there she would be bathed, fed, be sung to, have all these beautiful gifts lavished upon her. Okay? And an invisible voice told her how much she was loved and wanted, and that all this was for her. And she grew to love this invisible voice. It only talked to her at night when it was around dinner time, and told her how much she was loved and how much that voice loved her. But as days went by and she got accustomed to having this voice and having lavish food and living in this lavish house, she did begin to wonder who this invisible voice was. So she asked the voice for one favor, that she could see her 2 sisters who were now married to kings. And her 2 sisters came to this lavish house in the middle of a flower field. And even though they were married to kings, they became super angry and jealous that Psyche was living in such luxury, way better than them. And they were married to kings. They told Psyche, "You are a fool. You don't even know who this voice is. If they're invisible, they're either a monster or an evil wizard, and they are fattening you up. Can't you see what danger you're in? You need to take this dagger." So let's go ahead. Draw out this dagger. Find whoever this is, where their room is in this large house, and very, very, very late at night, stab them through the heart. And Psyche was influenced by her sisters and figured they must be right, because if this person is invisible, they must have some sort of magic. So, taking the dagger and a lamp of oil, I'm going to have a weird teardrop shape here, flame coming out this end, handle on this end, and a top. This is what an oil lamp looks like. Took it, found the room of the person who had the invisible voice, opened it, expecting to find some hideous creature inside, and instead found the most beautiful man she had ever laid eyes on, fast asleep. And she recognized him from temples and other paintings and pictures that she had seen, that it was Eros, god of romantic love. And she was so surprised that she backed up and accidentally backed herself into one of his arrows in his quiver, and she fell head over heels for Eros himself. But at the same time, in her surprise, spilled hot oil onto him and burned him, waking him up. And he saw her there with a dagger in his hand and realized that she was there to kill him. And the betrayal that he felt from that, he experienced something mortals felt all the time: heartbreak. And he was so angry, he flew away. And Psyche was distraught because she had scared him off, and she wondered if he was ever going to really love her. So Eros went back and boo-hooed to his mama, Aphrodite, and Aphrodite came to find Psyche. Let's draw Aphrodite's symbol again. Aphrodite, not wanting to bring back Psyche for her son, wanted to exact revenge for simply having Psyche worshipped instead of her. She was still bitter about that because she's petty. And Aphrodite told Psyche that she must be her servant if she really loved her son. But what Aphrodite really wanted to do was to wear out Psyche to the point that she would die. So she gave Psyche an impossible task. Aphrodite said, "I am going to be at a party until morning. Here is a gigantic pile, a whole dune of nothing but 4 different types of seeds. I want you to sort them into 4 different piles according to seed by dawn, by the time I get back from this party." Oh, Psyche boo-hooed as soon as Aphrodite went away. No one could do this. It would take the hands of many farm servants to separate these into 4 different piles. Until an ant wondered why someone so beautiful was so sad and asked her what the problem was. Psyche told the ant, and the ant told its brothers and sisters. So the ants came, thousands of them, and separated the pile into 4 different piles of seeds, because ants are really good at that. And when Aphrodite came back in the morning, she was furious to find that Psyche had done what she had asked to do. So here are the 4 piles. Next, she gave Psyche another dangerous task, to swim across a very dangerous river. And on the other side, Helios, god of the sun, kept his sheep. The only problem was, these were killer sheep. They loved the flesh of men. Their fleece was golden like the sun. So let's go ahead and draw some killer sheep. And Psyche became very sad, because the only thing she had been told to bring with her was a pair of shears. No sword, no shield to protect her from flesh-eating sheep. So she cried until a spirit of the river told her to go ahead, go to the thorn bushes that grew by the river, and instead of confronting the sheep, she was told to collect off these thorns the wool the sheep had rubbed off onto them. They had left behind clumps of their golden fleece. So Psyche did what she was told to do and collected up a whole basket full of golden wool for Aphrodite. And thus completed her second task, which again infuriated Aphrodite. So Aphrodite said, "If you truly love my son, you will take this jar." So let's go ahead and draw a water urn, just like we did in our Grecian urn lesson. If you truly love my son, you will take this urn and you will go collect water from the river that starts at the mouth of the underworld. And Psyche took the jar and went to the opening to the underworld, but found it was guarded very violently by dragons. And she again felt distraught because she had nothing to defeat the dragons with. Zeus, watching all of this from Mount Olympus, became very angry with Aphrodite and decided to help Psyche out. So he sent his pet eagle to grab the jar from Psyche, fill it with water, and battle off the dragons, and give the jar back to Psyche to take back to Aphrodite. Thus, Aphrodite completed her third task. Her fourth task, though, Aphrodite literally told her to go to, heck. Okay, she was told to go into the underworld, to go to the throne room of Hades and his wife Persephone, and ask for some of Persephone's beauty. Persephone, wife of Hades, and also goddess of spring, so we'll represent her with some flowers. And then 2 rings to represent the fact that she is with Hades. And this is his symbol, a scepter with 2 forks. So going past a bunch of trials, like weeping women who are asking for help, a man who is trying to put water into a sieve and failing every time, and other disturbing things that she saw in the underworld, she finally made it to the chamber of Persephone and asked her for a bit of her beauty. Now Persephone knew what was going on, okay? All the Greek gods had figured that out at this point. So she actually did give Persephone a box of her beauty. And Psyche took it back out of the underworld. On her way back to Aphrodite, though, she got curious and wondered if she could use some of this beauty for herself, because she was about to see her boyfriend, hopefully. So she opened up the box. Unfortunately, she did not know that Persephone was trying to trick Aphrodite, and instead of putting her beauty in it, she actually put death. So Persephone, opening up the box, found death. She only got a tiny bit of it, so instead of death, she fell into a deep, deep sleep. At this point, and you're probably wondering where Eros has been all this time. Well, Mommy Aphrodite decided that he needed to remain a mama's boy for all eternity and actually locked him up as his prisoner in her home. So he's been locked up this whole time. Then he manages to break free at this moment and, running to find where Psyche was, found her in this deep sleep in the garden. He kissed her and woke her and flew her to the foot of Mount Olympus. There, Zeus and all the other gods of Mount Olympus were told about all the misdoings of Aphrodite. And Eros, well, he is Cupid and Eros. Eros made his argument that he wanted to be with Psyche forever. So, Zeus, seeing how much in love they were, offered a drink. We're going to make this look like a goblet and not a wine glass. A drink of a substance called ambrosia to Psyche to make her immortal. And she became the goddess of the soul. Aphrodite was told how petty she was and that she needed to stop it, which Aphrodite, with everyone pretty much against her, relented and said, I will stop. And Cupid asked to be married to Psyche. Eros asked to be married to Psyche. So let's draw some wedding bells. And there was a big wedding up in Mount Olympus to marry these two together. Now that they were equals and both immortal. So that is the story of how the Greek god of romantic love fell in love himself, and soul and heart were united in holy matrimony up in heaven. Oh, and by the way, they also had a kid. Oh, that looks a little evil. Try and make it look less evil, okay? And this child's name pretty much means joy or pleasure in Greek names. So that is the story of Eros and Psyche. So go ahead and draw this out. You don't need to color it if you don't want to. All right, and turn it into me. Pretty much, I just wanted you to know that story because it's a great story. All right, I can't wait to see what y'all do. We'll see you next time.